So here on Think Ahead EDC, not only do we want to be getting and using and displaying, reviewing, etc., really cool pieces of gear, but we also want to be thinking ahead and either purchasing or in this case making pieces of gear that can help us in our day-to-day lives or reduce friction in our day-to-day lives and so on. And one of those things that I think every single big EDC collectors have, big issue that they have, is where in the world do we put all of this stuff? And when it comes to smaller things like knives and flashlights, carabiners, and so on, it's easier to find solutions for those, like drawers, etc. But what about our bags and pouches and backpacks and slings and everything else? So in this video, I am going to be printing a hanger for my wife's Model 23 pack from the Hidden Woodsman. I already printed her one, but I wanted to print one that matches her pack. And so we have this just green, not forest green, not lime green, nothing like that, just green from eSun PLA Basic, which is plenty strong for this application. So let's go ahead and get this puppy printing, and we'll take a look at it as it goes along, and then we'll take a look at the final product. All right, and really quick, while this bad boy is warming everything up, I wanted to tell you what it is that we're using, and Ash really wanted to say hello, so say hello, Ash. Say hello. Hello. But this bad boy is the Anycubic Mega X. It's an older printer. It only goes like 50 millimeters a second max, so it is not a bamboo or anything super special. It's an older printer I got for free from a friend who's also into EDC gear, particularly things like flashlights. He had several of them and was like, hey man, no strings, I've got plenty of them. You seem like you're really excited about getting into the hobby, so here, have it, which was amazing of him. And if you wanted to pick one of these guys up, you can find things like this on the Facebook Marketplace and other places for like 50 bucks. So not expensive at all. All right, so our little project is done. This is our backpack hanger that's designed to hang a backpack in a closet. And like I said before, this video is more about organizational sides of EDC gear. So while this is not something that I'm going to carry with me every day, backpacks, sling bags, whatever you want to call them, bum bags, fanny packs, etc., all these things need to go somewhere. And I have found lots of use for these types of hooks for my EDC gear already. So while I know this is not an everyday piece of gear, it helps me organize my everyday gear. And I found with my 3D printer that's right there that you saw earlier, I have been able to upgrade my EDC a lot. So I'm going to be doing a lot of 3D printing on the channel, as well as the gear reviews and so on, because I think that it's a real game changer, because you can get a model like this, like I said, on the Facebook Marketplace for somewhere between $50 and $100. It's not expensive at all. The cheap rolls of filament, the stuff that actually makes these, if you're not familiar, is not expensive at all. You can get it for anywhere from $9, $10, $11 all the way up to $30, $50, but this stuff that I'm using right here was $10 a spool. And I've got a couple of these printed out already holding EDC gear. Now let's talk about some of these finishing tools, and then we'll talk about what I recommend using these for as far as the state of the backpack, okay? Now, as you can see, there are some rough bits. You can see how it's got a little bit of spotting going on there. See a little bit of the roughness right here. Now, honestly, that's not a big deal to me for this application, but there are some things like the pieces of gear that you put into bags and packs and pouches, etc., that maybe you do want to clean up a little bit. And for that, you don't really need a whole lot to clean that stuff up. So as you can tell, I'm kind of using this video as not only an introduction to, or as a video on printing this object, but an introduction to 3D printing for being used as EDC gear as well. And these two pieces of gear, for the most part, are all that you need to clean up your prints, okay? This is a 12-piece needle file set from Harbor Freight, and this is a $6 deburring tool from Amazon that came with 10, I think it's 10, 11 blades. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so it came with a blade and 10 replacement blades for $6. And what this would be used for, you can see how it's kind of got this flattened edge there. And then on the other side, there's a bit of a curve to it. What this is for, you can feel kind of a little bit of an edge from where this sat flat on the bed. You can take this and just drag it. A little weird to do this in camera. Drag that across and you'll get these really fine shavings that kind of smooth that line out. Now, again, for this application, what I'll be using this for, I wouldn't normally do this. The other hooks that I have for this application right now, I haven't done this on, and it's not a problem. But you can already tell, you can hear, there's that piece. Now let's come over here. There's not much of a lip there anymore. So that can be really useful. And again, that's a deburring tool. So let me just get this stuff out of the way. Not a big deal. Now these guys, and again, that's about $6 on Amazon. I'll try to put a link down in the bottom of the description. Really, really useful, really inexpensive. This I found in that, you know how when you're in Harbor Freight, you walk up and you see that they've got all those last minute things like, hey, this is really cheap. This is really cheap. Why don't you toss that in the cart? Well, they got me. So this was, again, I think it was like $4, and it's a 12-piece kit, and you can see that there's a couple, maybe you can't tell on camera, but there's a couple of them that I've used almost specifically. These two flat guys right here. Not that these other ones aren't useful, but I have found these to be the most useful for the projects that I've been using so far. So let's say you did want to come over here, see if I can find something that'd be visible for you. Okay, so let's say that this little red piece, which is a remnant from the last piece of filament that I had in the printer, so you can tell this is where the print started. Let's say that that's really bugging me and I wanted to get rid of it. I could take a simple little file like this. And just rub that guy away. Could I have done that with the deburring tool? Maybe. Maybe it would have worked out better. Maybe it would have worked out worse. Maybe it would have been not effective at all. But that's pretty much done. So these can be really helpful, especially when you're using 3D printed parts for your EDC gear that have moving parts that need to run along each other smoothly. If they have any little burrs like this, that moving action can really be hindered. And with a simple file here, in about 2 seconds of your time, and that burr can be gone. And most of this stuff doesn't need to be pretty when we're done with it. It can be if you want it to, especially if you have some of the newer printers, then you can get some really, really good stuff. But these two pieces of gear, this deburring tool and these file sets, can be really, really useful for this whole process. Now I do, with this in mind, I do want to show you one more piece of gear that can be really helpful with your 3D printing EDC gear. If you do want it to look a little bit more aesthetically pleasing, you'll notice that we get this kind of white filmy look when we use our file on things. You can see the same over here. If we take a butane torch and just for a very, very short period of time, because this filament doesn't need to get very warm before it starts to melt again and deform, but and that's all it took. And now that's almost back to that same glossy finish. And they make glossy filaments, they make matte filaments, but if it's taking longer than that 1.5 seconds or so, stop, wait for it to cool down. This is probably still too soon, but do it again. Then it's really looking back to normal. Let's try this over here. Okay. And now we're back to that kind of glossy finish. So I'm going to be using this again, and I'll put a picture up here to hang up my wife's Model 23 pack from the Hidden Woodsman. I have the same backpack. I've had it for 2 years now. It's been my daily EDC bag. I got hers for her last year, so she's had it for about a year now. And it's green and tan. So I wanted to print her out one that matched the pack, and here we go. Now, here's the one caveat. A lot of stuff, a lot of the 3D printing stuff can have better or worse strength depending on how they're printed. And I don't want to go into this too much, but just so you can tell what I'm talking about, you can see how the rings are wrapping this way. That's from the printer printing with it like this. Okay, so it did, and then eventually went up and up and up and up. Most of the time, these lines being like this would make it weaker because we want the pressure, oh, and the puppy's mad. We want the pressure going with these lines so that it's not as easy to break, if that makes sense. But this hook is really well designed where there's actually a core running through it. So there's this outer tube, infill, and then an inner core tube to keep it in place. Sorry about that, guys. Delivery guy came. Okay, so this is actually pretty strong, but I don't want to push it, and I don't recommend you pushing a lot of your 3D printed EDC gear. So this, I'm only going to hang in the closet with a mostly empty pack. I'm not saying it has to be completely empty, but don't take 2 1-liter bottles full of water, stick it in your pack, put all your sleeping gear, whatever it is that you keep in your EDC pack, and it ends up weighing 15, 20 pounds. This very well may hold it, but I'm gonna put it this way. Don't put anything in your pack on a hook like this that you're not willing to have it fall to the floor to the 3 feet or so that it's gonna fall from your closet, okay? Again, I think that this would hold, but my EDC bag weighs probably 21 pounds, I wanna say. Maybe I'm going a little bit overboard in that, but I probably wouldn't hang it on one of these hooks unless I really beefed it up somehow. But that's kind of our first look here on the channel into 3D printing EDC gear. There's tons and tons and tons of stuff that you can do with this. We will be doing more. I'm very, very new at 3D printing, so definitely not an expert. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments section. I'll do my best to answer. But I think we're gonna have a whole lot of fun with this on this channel because you guys, with a very minimal investment, basically the money that it would take to get a decent $50 knife, you can grab one of these printers and start making your own 3D printed EDC gear. And with a couple of little extra tools, like this deburring tool, the needle file set, and a little butane burner, you're really set up to make some awesome, awesome stuff. And again, I'll put some links for these things in the description below. But make sure to like and subscribe if you guys like this video. We've got some more flashlight content coming up. The next video that's going to be coming out is on the HD01 UV. I've already done the nighttime shots for this, so this is a great little option. Some pros and cons, but if you want to see the full review, make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.